Hey everyone, and welcome to my channel. I hope that you are all good. In today's video we're going to be doing a layered French acrylic design. So we're going to begin with a coloured French acrylic nail with some glitter, and then we're going to finish off with some stamping and crystals. So I really hope you all enjoy watching. To begin with, I'm working on my Flexi hand today. I tend to use my Flexi hand more when I'm just going to be doing one or two nails. Now I have already applied my tip, so I'm coming in here with CJP Crystal Glass, and I'm just doing a really thin clear base. I like to do this on all of my nails. I just find it gives me a nice smooth platform to work on top of. If I'm doing my own nails, I like to have a clear base down to protect the natural nail bed from any staining, and also because it gives me a base to file back to if I'm doing a redesign. Next, I'm going to come in with CJP Obsession, and I'm going to begin creating my extended nail bed. Now, I'm not doing too much of an extended nail bed, and I'm not doing it too deep. I went for quite a natural looking round extended nail bed shape. So I'm just placing that first bead of acrylic down. I took it out to both the sides, so you can see I'm really pressing the acrylic out so it reaches both of the sides. And then I'm using my brush to create the shape I want my smile line to be. So like I said, I'm keeping it quite simple in this particular one and creating a nice rounded shape. I'm trying to create a lot of the shape using my brush so that then I have minimal filing to do. So as you can see there, I was just using the edges of my brush to get that shape as neat as I could. Then I'm going to come in with my cuticle and apex bead. So I'm placing this down slightly away from the cuticle and just tapping it up into place around that cuticle area, trying to get it nice and flush and nice and neat. And then I'm just pulling that bead of acrylic down over the previous bead. Now it was really hot on the particular day that I was doing this now, so my acrylic was setting quite quickly. So as you see there, I did have a little bit of trouble. It had already started setting up when it come to blending it down the nail. So I will correct that in a moment, but first of all I just wanted to come in with a small bead here just because I hadn't got right in to the corners of the cuticle area there, and I'm just blending that down. But where that first bead of acrylic didn't blend out nicely, it's a little bit hard to tell in the video, but there was just a little bit of shadowing and the acrylic just looked a little bit patchy. So what I decided to do was come in with another bead of acrylic down at the tip of that smile line and just blend that back just so there was a nice even coverage. So as you can see, I'm just blending that back. It's only a small bead of acrylic, but it will just smooth everything out and give us a nice even colour. Just neatening up the tip. Now then I did allow that to fully set, and then once the acrylic had fully set, I'm going to come in with a 100 grit file and just give this a file to make it that little bit crisper. I have created the shape using my brush, but I just want to sharpen it up so it looks nice and crisp. If you haven't created or perfected the shape with your acrylic, you can spend a little bit more time filing to get the shape that you would like. Once I had finished filing, I took a scrubby brush and just made sure to scrub away all of that dust just to give the nail a good clean before coming in with our coloured acrylic. So I'm going to begin using CJP, I think this one's called Ibiza Sunset. So I'm just picking up small beads of acrylic and just going along that smile line and fading the colour slightly down the nail tip. You're not really going to see too much of this colour because I'm coming in with glitters over the top. And then I did come in with the stamping and the crystals, which I wasn't 100% sure if I was going to add the stamping and crystals to this particular design when I was doing it. So I did probably spend a little bit more time applying the coloured acrylic than I needed because a lot of it is covered up. But what I wanted to make sure was that you could really see that pop of colour against the French smile line. So I'm just making sure that it gets right down into those wings, and because I only want there to be a thin layer of the coloured acrylic, that's why I'm just working in quite small beads, just because I don't want the tip of the nail to end up too bulky because I knew I was coming over the top of this with two different glitters. I decided to add just a little bit more here just to bring that colour down because I wasn't 100% sure on the glitters I was going to be using, so I wanted to make sure I had a bit of a base there for the glitters. I did end up using a fine and a chunky mix glitter, but I did still like having this bit of colour underneath just because it gives off different effects. Now the two glitters I'm using today are both from Charlie's Nail Art. This finer mix one, and then I'm going to use some chunky dots over the top of this. I can't remember the name of these two glitter mixes off the top of my head, but I will pop them in the description box below. So I'm picking the glitter up using a small wet bead of CJP crystal glass. This particular mix has a lot of fine iridescent pieces in there and then some small dots. And then I have a separate glitter mix from Charlie's Nail Art, which is more these chunky dots. I believe they're called rainbow dots, but like I said, I'll double check and pop them in the description box below. So with these chunkier dots, I'm not picking these up with any additional acrylic. I've just tipped some out onto a paper towel, and I'm just picking out the certain colours that I want and placing them down using my wet brush. Because that previous glitter and acrylic we placed down before is still tacky, I'm able to set these down into that. But if I do have any places where the dots aren't really sticking, then I'll just pop down a little bit of clear acrylic just so that they hold in place, ready to encapsulate. I love these dotty mixes, they are so fun. Charlie's Nail Art has a huge range of glitter dots, and they are one of my absolute favourite types of glitters to use. So this one here was the one that there just wasn't enough tackiness there to stick that down. So I come in with a teeny tiny bead of clear acrylic, and then I was able to stick my little dot down. Making sure to keep these dots in from your very free edge on your sidewall of the nail, otherwise you're going to end up filing into them anyway. I'm now going to come in and encapsulate. So I'm using my CJP crystal glass. I've placed that first bead of acrylic down and faded it back. It doesn't matter if this goes over your smile line because you will file away any of the excess acrylic. I just wanted to make sure that it fully covered all of the coloured acrylic and the glitters that we had placed, because if you haven't covered those glitters, you are going to file into them or file them off when it does come to your finished filing. So then I just popped another bead down to finish off encapsulating the tip of the nail, and I'm just blending that back. As you can see, I'm trying to keep my sidewalls as neat as possible. I'm trying to keep my overall acrylic application as neat as possible, as this way there's going to be a minimal finish filing to do. Now it did look a little bit thin here, so I come in with another bead of acrylic just to build that up, and I am always checking from all angles that I'm happy with that strength and structure. Off camera, I then went and filed and buffed this now and gave it a good clean, so we're ready to come in and do our stamping. So I'm going to be stamping using this particular plate from Moyou. So as you can see, this is a Pro Collection XL number 14 plate. So to begin with, I'm giving it a good clean with some acetone, just in case there's any stamping polish left over from last time I used the plate. Then I'm going to come in and apply a generous amount of my white stamping polish, scrape the excess to cover the image, and then I'm using my Clear Jelly Big Bling stamper. And as you can see, that picked up pretty well. I wasn't 100% happy with the pickup, but it was good enough to use for this design. So I like to use a lint roller to move any of that excess image, and then I'm going to position this to cover that entire tip of the nail. So like I said, we are covering up a lot of the glitters, but I really wanted the effect that the two different glitters gave off underneath the stamping. Now I want it to cover a lot of that free edge, so I'm coming right down as far as I can down the wings of the French, just to add any additional pieces of stamping in there. And this is one of the reasons why I love using the CJS Big Bling stamper, because you're able to look right through it and see where you're placing any parts of your design. I'm then just going to take a cotton pad with some acetone and just clean up any of those little excess stamping pieces and give my plate a good clean as well before I pop that away. Now I'm going to come in with my Kiki London rubber top coat. So I'm using the Kiki London rubber top coat today for two reasons. One, because I really love how this top coat seals in around stamping, and two, because it's a rubber top coat, it's slightly thicker, so I really like it for applying any of my flat back crystals. So I'm going to apply a thin layer of this to the entire nail, and you can kind of get an idea of what it would look like before applying any crystals. So I'm then going to leave this top coat uncured, and I'm going to place my crystals down into that wet gel, and it means I can move them around and play around with their positioning without having to worry about them drying like you do when you're using a glue. So I'm using it very similar to how I would use a jewelry gel. Now I have sped this video up because I did faff around a little bit with these crystals. I just wanted a simple trail going across the nail, but I did want it to kind of stand out. I wanted this nail to look a little bit extra. So I wanted it to come across from one side of the French to the other side of the nail. Now I'm using a mixture of AB crystals, and then I do come in with a couple of opal crystals, and they're both in mixed size pots. And then once I was happy with how the crystals were placed, I did add in a few little caviar beads here and there, just because it helps bulk out your crystal designs. And I felt as though with a little trail like this, just adding a couple of caviar beads in certain little gaps, it just saved having to pop in tiny little gems, if that makes sense. So I'll just let you guys watch this bit, because there's not really much more I can say about the crystal placement. It's nothing too exciting. However, I did want to say I hope you're all keeping safe and well. How are you all doing? We've had some beautiful sunshine here in the UK the last few days, and it's been amazing. I feel like it just really lifts your mood having some really nice weather. So I hope you're all feeling the same. I also want to take a moment to thank all of the lovely people who stopped by and watched my previous video and left me comments and thumbs up. Thank you all, it means so much. I'm very close to hitting 4,000 subscribers on my channel, and that is just amazing. I started off my channel and I didn't even expect to hit 100 subscribers, so it's really nice to be nearly hitting 4,000. So thank you to all of you who have watched and subscribed. So here you can see I'm coming towards the end of that little crystal placement. I'm just nudging those few little caviar beads into place and checking that I'm happy with how all of those crystals are placed. Once I'm happy with that, I'm then going to pop this in to cure for 60 seconds. And that, guys, is the end of the design. So I really hope you all enjoyed watching. If you did, then please give the video a thumbs up or let me know what you thought in the comments below. If you're watching and you're not already subscribed to my channel, I would absolutely love it if you hit that subscribe button. Thank you all so much for watching. Lots of love. Take care. Bye bye.